Do you remember the time when you could rent a place in Florida for just $200 and raise a whole family on one steady income? Well, that peaceful past now only lives on in our fragmented memories of a retirement paradise that has gradually transformed into the epicenter of a homelessness crisis. More than 31,000 people are living without homes, without futures, and struggling each day, huddled along the edges of once proud boulevards. No longer a retirement paradise, now all that remains are scenes of devastation, where makeshift tents spring up along the sidewalks, where the American dream is slowly fading, like a flickering streetlight before a big storm. In today's video, we will explore why Florida, a place considered a promised land, is becoming a real-life ghost town. And don't take your eyes off the video, because what you will see is not just the collapse of a city, but the future of the American dream, slowly rotting day by day. Just think for a minute. Florida, once a paradise for retirees, where dreams of a peaceful and comfortable old age under the golden sun and blue sea once existed, has now become a place of crisis. Somewhere in the shadows of bustling neighborhoods, over 140,000 homeless people are living in terrible conditions. Tents sprouting up like mushrooms, temporary shantytowns becoming the homes of thousands who once had stable jobs. And that number keeps increasing every day. Cities like Miami, Tampa, or Orlando are no longer just names associated with tropical summers and dream vacations. Now, they are symbols of decay. People no longer see the picturesque beaches or the vibrant resorts. Instead, there are deserted streets, neighborhoods gradually sinking into ruin where the homeless have taken over, as if it were a real-life ghost town. The greatest pain is not just the rapid increase in the number of homeless people, but the loss itself. The people who once believed in the American dream, those who dedicated their lives to society, now struggle day by day in tents, while around them the lives of others continue, full and stable. We have witnessed the prosperity of the country, living through years of stability when everything seemed sustainable. But now, that stability is cracking day by day. And if even those who were once pillars of society cannot keep their homes, what will become of our future, of those who have contributed to building this society? But the problem doesn't stop with the homeless. The entire community is also being affected. Residents in Florida, especially the elderly, are feeling helpless. They see home prices soaring, the cost of living becoming increasingly expensive, but their incomes cannot keep up. They are worried, not knowing if they can keep their home, and if not, how they will live. The American dream, where we once believed that everyone had the opportunity to start anew, is now cracking. If those who have had stable jobs and have contributed to society for a lifetime can no longer maintain a roof over their heads, the question arises, can we, those who have lived through stable years, face such a future? We were once taught that as long as you work hard, you will be able to support your family and have a home to return to. But now, that seems to be just an empty promise. In Florida, where the economy is booming and new housing developments are springing up like mushrooms, a harsh reality is unfolding. Even middle-class individuals with stable jobs are now falling into homelessness. Angelia Woods, a senior accountant at the Florida Department of Transportation, is currently living with her 4 children in a small hotel in Tampa. Each month, she has to pay nearly $2,000 for the room, almost her entire income. After losing her job due to the pandemic and being evicted from her apartment, she began a series of days living in hotels. When she found a new job, rental prices in Florida had skyrocketed to an unattainable level. Not enough savings to pay the rent deposit, but she also couldn't receive government assistance because her income was too high. She calls herself someone living in the grey zone, a class that society doesn't want to acknowledge.
I tell my kids, you work, you're entitled to things. You take care of yourself, you're entitled to things. So I never thought I would ever be in a situation like this. It shocks me sometimes.
But Angelia is not the only case. Owen Russell, a single father working as a non-emergency patient transporter, also fell into homelessness. Even though he works full-time, he and his 17-year-old daughter have to live on a friend's sofa, often sleep in their car, and then move to temporary shelters in churches. Even though he works an essential job, his income is not enough to rent a house as prices soar by 20 to 30% each year. They say they are building houses for the middle class, he bitterly remarked. But I wonder, who has enough money to live in those houses? And they are not alone. More and more middle-class families are facing homelessness for the first time, caught in the middle of a tug of war. Not poor enough to receive assistance, but also not rich enough to survive in the market. Society calls them families falling into the gap, a layer of people that the social support system seems unable to recognize. They do not belong to the group that needs subsidies, but they also cannot maintain a stable life with their current income as housing and living costs continue to rise. The middle class, once a symbol of stability and prosperity, is now struggling to make ends meet. Those who once dedicated themselves to society, who carried the ideals of an America where everyone could find opportunity, now stand on the brink of collapse. People like Angelia and Owen are not just victims of a financial crisis. They are also a testament to a system that is gradually forgetting its core values. The American dream is now showing signs of fading, as those who have worked hard their entire lives still cannot find a home for their families. So the question is, what is missing? And can we continue to live in a society where the hardest working individuals face these dangers? Or will there be changes from the government, from society? Miami, with its long sun-kissed beaches, luxurious resorts, and warm breezes, was once a symbol of the American dream, a place where those who had toiled their entire lives hoped to find a spot to rest. But now, that image has gradually faded. The tropical sunshine is no longer a symbol of freedom and happiness. Now, it is merely a sign of separation and instability. Amidst that radiant beauty, makeshift slums began to sprout, where those who once had stable lives now had to seek shelter. Miami, the city of prosperity and opportunity, is now facing an increasingly severe homelessness crisis. The bustling streets, once filled with tourists and locals enjoying life, are now witnessing the presence of thousands of homeless people. They are not just invisible people, they are the ones whom society has forgotten. Along with the increase in the homeless population is the relentless rise in housing prices, making it impossible for even middle-class families to continue living here. Rental prices in Miami have increased by nearly 25% over the past year, while the average income has only risen by 5%. Those who once had a home and stable jobs can no longer afford a normal life. They can only race against time, live day by day, and face the helplessness of not being able to find a way out. This scene is not an exception. New housing developments are springing up like mushrooms, but they are not meant for those who truly need homes. They are luxurious apartments for the wealthy, while the poor and middle-class families are left behind, with no place to live. That makes one wonder, does the American dream really still exist for people like them? With rising prices, unstable unemployment rates, and skyrocketing living costs, Miami is no longer the land of opportunity it once was. Instead, it is becoming a testament to injustice and division in society. Those who were once valuable citizens are now struggling to find a home, a safe place to live. So what happened to that dream? Will Miami be able to return to a place where everyone can find a home? Or will it continue to sink in the storm of injustice and poverty? Tampa, one of the fastest growing cities in Florida, was once a place that attracted middle-class families seeking a new, stable life. But now, This city is facing a terrifying reality that no one could have anticipated. Amid the vibrant pace of a developing urban city, temporary slums are increasingly rising, taking over areas that were once the heart of the city. The sight of families setting up tents on sidewalks in parks or right outside luxury apartment buildings has become a familiar image in Tampa. This not only reflects the shortage of affordable housing, but also highlights the impotence of the authorities in controlling this situation. The homeless are not invisible. They are people with stories, with pasts, with dreams. But now they are left with only simple tents, and their lives are passing day by day in harsh conditions. Like many other cities in Florida, housing prices in Tampa are skyrocketing. Rental prices have increased by 18% in the past year, making it difficult for many residents to keep up. Families that once lived stably, with incomes sufficient to maintain a normal life, are now facing a harsh choice. Either continue living in temporary conditions or leave the city they have been attached to for their entire lives. These makeshift housing areas are not just tents. They are symbols of the failure of a system that has been unable to meet the needs of the people. Tampa is no exception. All of Florida is witnessing the rise of temporary slums everywhere. Abandoned lands and inactive industrial zones have now become shelters for thousands of people. No clean water, no electricity, no basic services. These people are not lazy or lacking in willpower. They are those who have been left behind in the endless race of the real estate market. They simply cannot keep up with the rising cost of living. This scene not only causes sorrow for those who witness it, but also serves as a wake-up call for society about the severe shortcomings in housing support policies. Tampa, like many other cities in Florida, is facing a crisis not only in housing, but also in the increasing social divide. These temporary slums are not only shelters for the poor, but also signs of a rift within the community itself, as people begin to realize that the American dream is merely an illusion for many. So, if even cities like Tampa, once symbols of opportunity and prosperity, can no longer protect the dreams of hardworking people, then who is the American dream still for? Can we continue to live in a society where those who have dedicated their lives no longer have a place? Or is it time for us to face the reality that that dream is no longer what it used to be? The real estate frenzy is sweeping away all that remains of the American dream. Although the real estate market in Florida, especially in cities like Miami and Tampa, is booming, not everyone can join this race. Home prices and rental costs are continuously skyrocketing, creating an unprecedented crisis, especially for middle-class families who once had stable lives. In just the past year, rental prices in Florida have increased by nearly 20%, pushing many families into difficult situations. Those who once lived in peaceful, familiar neighborhoods now face a harsh choice: either move away or fall into homelessness. People like Owen and Angelia, despite working hard, still cannot keep up with these skyrocketing prices. They are not failures, but they have been pushed out of the very place they called home. Meanwhile, vast lands and luxurious apartments continue to be built, but only for the wealthy. As for the workers, those who have created prosperity for these cities, they are being pushed to the margins. The government and financial institutions continue to invest in the luxury real estate market, while the demand for affordable housing, where thousands of middle-class families could live, is not being met. This is a heartbreaking paradox. While the real estate market is flourishing, ordinary people are struggling with the lack of affordable housing. They cannot buy a house because the prices are too high, but they also cannot rent a house because the costs have exceeded their affordability. Some families are stuck in the gap between the two ends of the scissors, not poor enough to receive subsidies, but also not rich enough to live on the market. Luxury apartments and new resorts are rapidly emerging, but they are not meant for ordinary people. the workers living in temporary slums. It seems that in this world, there is no longer a place for the poor. And meanwhile, the homeless are not just numbers or images in a report. They are people who have once contributed to this society. They do not deserve to be abandoned like that. But the current real estate system has created an unbridgeable gap where workers, despite their hard work, cannot find a home. Does the American dream still exist when those who have contributed their whole lives to society cannot maintain a home? And if we don't act right now, can we save these dreams, or will they just become a legend of the past? When we have gone through a lifetime, when we have devoted our youth to building a family, raising children, and contributing to society, old age often comes as a reward, a time to rest, to enjoy what we have contributed. But for many elderly people in Florida, old age is no longer a time to relax, but a fight for survival. In a society where everything is expensive and the value of money seems insufficient to sustain life, those who have entered old age face a trap with no escape. They have dedicated their entire lives to work, but when the time comes for them to be protected, when their health is no longer what it used to be, when their stable income is now only enough to cover basic expenses, the system fails to provide the necessary support. The retired class is no longer sheltered by the safety they once expected, but instead, they are faced with feelings of helplessness and anxiety about the future. We can easily recognize that for the elderly, maintaining a home is no longer as simple as it used to be. The cost of living continues to rise, and while their pensions do not increase, the trap of old age tightens ever more. Retirees who once lived stable and independent lives now face the fear of losing their homes, with no place to shelter when illness strikes. And what is even more frightening is that this insecurity is becoming a common issue for many retirees. As they age, they no longer have the ability to earn additional income, while everything around them continues to rise in price. If there is no change in policies and support for the elderly, we may witness a generation of seniors being left behind in society with no place to stand and no place to call home. So, the trap of old age is not a trap that only one generation has to face. It is a trap that all of us could fall into if the system does not change. When the value of money is no longer enough to sustain life, can we accept such a future for ourselves? If there is a place that can represent the future of America, then Florida is the clearest reflection. What is happening here is not just a story of this state, but a warning for the entire country, from the rapid increase in the homeless population to the housing crisis, from the cost of living exceeding people's ability to pay to the stark division between social classes. All these issues are gradually becoming problems for the entire United States. Florida used to be a place where people came to start anew, where dreams of retirement, leisure, and freedom were realized under the sun. But now this state is gradually becoming a place where those dreams are eroding. What we imagine to be a paradise is actually facing profound and complex issues that not everyone recognizes. An entire generation of people, especially the elderly, is being pushed to the margins of society as they cannot maintain a basic livelihood, while the wealthy and investors continue to benefit from the relentless growth of the real estate market. We are at a crossroads. A whole generation of America is witnessing the collapse of what they once believed in. The education, healthcare, and social welfare systems, all are threatened by the unsustainable growth of living costs. People have become accustomed to living in a society where hard work is rewarded, where everyone can build a stable life for themselves. But the current reality is showing a different picture. Even those who have worked hard all their lives cannot keep a roof over their heads. Florida is where the American dream is gradually becoming an illusion. And if this situation is not controlled, if there are no systemic reforms, what is happening in Florida will soon spread everywhere. Other major cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago may no longer be the centers of development they once were. They will become areas where workers no longer have a place, where social division increasingly intensifies. So, if the American dream no longer has a place for the middle-class workers, for families that once had a stable home, what will our future be like? Can we accept a divided America where workers struggle to survive while the wealthy continue to accrue wealth and power? This question is not just Florida's, but all of ours. Will we stand by and accept this decline? Or will we find a way to change before it's too late? The future of America is not something unchangeable, but it will only improve if we start taking action right now. So, if even Florida, once a symbol of opportunity and prosperity, cannot protect the dreams of its people, who is the American dream still for? And if we don't act right now, will the future of this country become a grim story that we cannot change? Or is there still a chance to save it before it's too late? Florida, a state once dubbed a paradise of prosperity and tranquility, is now facing challenges that no one could have imagined. From the rise in homelessness, the housing crisis, to the division between social classes, all are signs of a profound issue that we cannot ignore. But this is not just Florida's story. This is an issue that the entire United States will have to face if there is no change. So, if even Florida, once a symbol of opportunity and prosperity, cannot protect the dreams of its people, who is the American dream still for? And if we don't act right now, will the future of this country become a grim story that we cannot change? Or is there still a chance to save it before it's too late? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel and stay updated with our latest videos. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. The information in this video is collected from public sources and presented for the purpose of analyzing and reflecting current social issues. The video is not intended to criticize any individual, organization, or government. All the viewpoints in the video are intended to reflect reality and do not aim to exaggerate or discredit any party. Viewers are encouraged to seek further information from various sources and approach the issue objectively.